Well, according to Fragrantica, Giorgio Armani just released their 18th flanker of their popular fragrance, Code. Is this fragrance going to be better than the rest? Stay tuned to find out. So today's video is going to be another unboxing, first impressions, and update video. This time it comes in the house of Giorgio Armani. It is their latest release, Armani Code Absolu Gold. So Armani Code Absolu Gold is a men's oriental spicy fragrance released in 2020. The nose behind this fragrance is Antoine Maison Doux and is an eau de parfum concentration. Alright, let's check out the presentation. Alright, so here's the box for Absolu Gold. Sorry for the reflection, but we do have a plain black box that does resemble the other boxes from the line. It does say the name of the fragrance here in gold. We have a gold line going here, pretty much around the box. Other than that, not too much going on with this box. Let's check out the bottle. Alright, so here's the bottle for Code Absolu Gold. If you guys are familiar with the Code line, this bottle does resemble the other bottles in the line. The only difference is this bottle is completely gold. Kind of would like to see this collar being black, but I do think that might be on another flanker. But, you know, nice looking bottle nonetheless. All gold here. Plastic cap. Gold atomizer. This is a 110 ml bottle and it does sell for around $130 after tax. Alright, so here are the notes for Code Absolu Gold. In the top we have mandarin and green apple. In the mid we have iris, saffron, leather, and spices. And in the base you round things off with tonka bean, cedarwood, gaiac wood, and benzoin. Yeah, so I do have some experience with the Armani Code line. A couple of favorites of mine are going to be Profumo and last year's release, which was Absolu. And I do think this one might be a takeoff of that because this one is Absolute Gold. So I'm guessing this is probably a continuation of that one. I actually really did like that one. That one had some leather and a few other notes that kind of butched it up a little bit. It had really good performance. I think I did a video on that one, so I will link that one down in the description below so you guys can take a look at that. But I do like this fragrance. I do like the DNA. The original can't be beat. That thing is a monster on my skin anyway. My brother loves wearing that one. So whenever he wears it, I always forget, you know, what it smells like in the air. And when he wears it, I'm like, man, you smell really good. What is that? And he tells me, and every single time I'm surprised that that's the one that it is. But I do like that fragrance, the original. And there's a few flankers here and there that are okay. But the ones that I mentioned are my two favorites right now. And, you know, every time they come up with a parfum version or something, you know, it makes me excited because I'm maybe they can make one that I thought was good even better. So that's what I'm hoping for. So let's give Armani Code Absolu Gold a first impression. All right, here we go. Clean hand. Couple sprays. Decent sprayer. Okay. Yeah, definitely getting something that's reminiscent to the Absolu release last year. I believe it's the leather note. I'm getting the DNA, the Code DNA, so it's in there. I'm getting the green apple. I'm getting the mandarin, so I'm getting the citrus notes and the apple notes, so it's nice and fruity on top. It's very thick and sweet though, and woody. I'm getting the leather. Right now the leather is, I'm just getting sort of the I guess the opening to the leather. Usually like whenever it dries down a little bit, it gets a little dustier. But right now I'm getting just the leather note mixed in with all these other notes right now. So it's not really standing out, but I can get it. But I'm definitely getting all the wood notes, the gaiac wood and the cedar wood. The tonka bean is in there, but I think it's going to shine here after a little while. But right now I'm really getting the citrus notes, the apple note, the wood notes, the benzoin for some sweetness. I do believe benzoin is like a vanilla sort of sweetness in fragrances. Yeah, not a bad fragrance. This one actually smells really, really good. You know, I'll be curious to try Absolu, the one from last year, next to this one. And I do believe that is the one that came with the black collar, now that I think about it. So that's probably why they're kind of the same looking bottle except for the collar. But I would like to try them side by side because I want to see how close they are. I know they're not identical. This one is slightly different because I did compare the notes before I did the video. But yeah, right now, it's not bad. It's that leather note's really starting to kick in there. It's just getting kind of dry and dusty. This one does have spices in it, so it's very spicy. It doesn't label which spices individually, but I am getting spicy notes. So yeah, this one just like the spices just really crept up. After that opening died down, the spices are really left there. So I'm left with a dusty leather that's spicy, woody. The Gaiac wood and the tonka bean are giving it a bit of a gourmand type of smell, which is nice. Yeah, I'm already thinking this was going to be good for the cooler weather. Fortunately, it rained here, and I think a cool front moved through with that rain, so it's not completely hot outside. I think it's like, I don't know, low 90s. At night, it's around the 80s, so this one, I might be able to pull this one off. Tomorrow, I might have to go easy on the trigger, but this one smells pleasant. Yeah, I do like this one, but this one really isn't anything super special. You know, there's only so many different directions you can go with that DNA. And I'm seeing a lot of the resemblance towards last year's release. And so I need to get my hands on a sample so I can like, see the differences. But this smells nice. Obviously, I'm going to have to wear it a few times, you know, for the update. But just right now, it's like I'm not really getting my socks blown off. It smells really good, don't get me wrong. But it's another release. It's another flanker release, you know. And like I mentioned, according to Fragrantica, there's 18 of them of code itself. That's a ton of codes. And it's a ton of fragrances in the line, you know. So there's only so many different directions you can go with that DNA. But overall, it does smell good. This one smells pleasant. It's not unpleasant at all. Like, it smells really good. Unfortunately, it's just a little too familiar, maybe. You know, maybe to last year's release again. I got to track that one down and see if I can get my nose on it again. Yeah, so I'm going to wear this fragrance tonight and over the next few days. Give you guys some days shortly. Talk to you then. Alright guys, well I'm back with my update for Armani code Absolu Gold. Yeah, so I spent the last couple of days with this fragrance, and I gotta say, I do like this fragrance. Actually, it might be my favorite in the line so far with the code flankers. I do think this one is better than the Absolu release last year, even though I did like that one quite a bit. This one was similar. They did share a few notes, but this one really kind of went on its own when it comes to the composition because it took a different turn. There is some iris in this fragrance that really gave it, not going to say DHI or Dior Homme Intense or that lipstick feel that iris brings to that fragrance, but it does do something to this fragrance that kind of gives it a similar feel, but not lipsticky. It just kind of gives it that same sort of feel. But this one's also very dark and resinous and warm and spicy. Very nice fragrance. You know, I can't really complain too much about this one except for slightly in a couple of areas. We'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, you know, started off nice and sweet. Had that Armani code DNA that everyone loves, which I love. And like I said, it did remind me of the Absolu, but it did, you know, have some tonka bean and it had the leather note, the iris note, were, you know, really the main notes that I got after the opening, which was the citrus notes and that green apple. But yeah, solid start, solid mid. The dry down, you're really just left with a gourmand tonka bean, really warm and deep, resinous, spicy, dry spicy fragrance, which I really like. I actually had this fragrance still on my shirt from work and it smelled very gourmandy. It smelled like a cookie almost, which I really liked. But yeah, not too many bad things I can say about this fragrance. So I really like it. Longevity for this fragrance was excellent. I got 8 hours consistently when I wore this fragrance. It is an EDP, so I was expecting to get 8+ hours, but you know, 8 hours is kind of where I stopped counting with this fragrance because it did last a full work day. And you know, for this fragrance, that's really good. Projection for this fragrance for an EDP was average to above average, depending on how many sprays you use. I do think that Absolu, the last year's release, was stronger than this one in the projection department. But this one is no slouch. The first couple of hours, you know, 2.5 to 3 hours even, I got the best projection, you know, a couple of feet, which is really good for this fragrance. But unfortunately, it gets a little bit closer to the skin. It doesn't keep that same kind of thickness that it has in the opening. Now, it's still there, and you'll smell it throughout the day, but you're not going to get a huge scent trail. You're not going to get a huge scent bubble. But, you know, the projection still isn't that bad. Seasons for this fragrance, well, if you guys haven't guessed already, it's definitely going to be fall and winter. But I do think you can probably pull this one off in spring, probably when it's warm out, not super hot, but probably evening out, in the spring will be fine for this fragrance. But overall, I'm going to say fall and winter. Occasions for this fragrance, well, this fragrance is very sexy. It's very alluring. So I can see you wearing this one for date night, dressed down with a suit and tie, formal events, wedding night. It's going to be a perfect wedding day fragrance. I don't say that too often, but for some reason this one just gives me that feel. But very sexy fragrance here, guys. Might be safe enough for work if you just take it easy on the trigger. And I think it's strong enough for the club. Ages for this fragrance, while I do think the younger guys might be able to pull this one off, I do think the price is a little steep. I believe this is 110 ml, goes for 130 bucks after tax, which might be a little steep for the younger guys. It is pretty mature with the spices and the dry leather note and a few other notes going on there. Just give this one a bit of a more mature, more refined, gentlemanly feel. So I venture to say 25 and up could easily pull this fragrance off. By 25 you can easily afford this one and should be able to pull it off on most occasions that you're enjoying, nights out, work events, date night, stuff like that. So I definitely think the 25 and up be a perfect age range for this fragrance. So overall, I'm going to say I do really like this fragrance, and I definitely think this fragrance is going to take the #1 spot in the Code line for me. I think last year I did pick Absolu as my #1 pick in the line, next to Profumo. And I'll leave a link to that video down below so you guys can see it. But yeah, I do think this is a better composition overall. I did get a little better performance with last year's release, the Absolu, but this one overall just has a better smell. I think it has better ingredients. Yeah, it shares similar ingredients from Absolu, but overall this one just added a few extra notes, and I really did like the addition of iris in this fragrance. The iris really made this fragrance for me. Yes, it's leathery, and yes, it's spicy, and it has a tonka bean, and it's a little sweet from the benzoin. But the iris note did do something to this fragrance. It just kind of changed it up enough for me to pick this one over last year's release. Again, projection wasn't the best with this fragrance, but it's not the worst. I do think you'll get noticed, and you're not going to offend anybody around you, which might be a good thing, which that's why I mentioned it was probably safe enough for work. Good for most occasions. It's a very sexy fragrance, and I know you guys are always looking for, fragrances out there that are going to make the ladies turn their heads, and I do think this fragrance will do it. Most ladies like the original Code. I do think this is a better version of the original Code. So yeah, I do think you guys should get your nose on this fragrance. Give it a try. It is at Macy's, and it is at Dillard's, I'm assuming anyway. But these always go down in price after a little bit of time. So if 130 bucks for a big bottle is a little too much for you, just wait a few months. It'll go down in price. I'm sure you could pick it up online, like a tester or something like that. But I do think this is gonna be my favorite of the line right now. So I definitely think you guys should get your nose on it, and let me know what you think about it down in the comments below. Alright guys, thank you guys so much for watching another video on my channel. If you like this video, please click that like button, subscribe to my channel, and turn on notifications for future first impressions videos and fragrance related content just like this. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, Dollars and Cents. There, you'll find fragrance related photos and future contest winners. And as always, until the next video, you guys take care. Thanks.